Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. It's another film from 1964. It's another film from Japan, and it's Yasuzo Masamura's Manji. Now, Manji doesn't really have a meaning. It's really the reverse swastika sign. And it's just more kind of the Buddhist symbol, maybe peace, hope and luck. So the actual title of the film doesn't necessarily have a neat explanation for it. Masamura is one of my favourite discoveries of the last couple of years, and as much as we kind of knock Arrow every now and again, it was through Arrow I did discover some of his work. So we've got Black Test Car, and this also came with the Black Report, Giants and Toys, which is fantastic, Red Angel, which is an absolute masterpiece, and Blind Beast, which is amazing. Now there is, I can't remember who it is on one of these Arrow releases, but somebody who has pretty much seen all Masamura's films, and does say that he had like a purple patch in kind of the middle of his career. His early stuff and his later stuff isn't really that good or worth seeing, but his purple patch in the middle. I have Blue Sky Maiden as well, which is a lovely little film. But we're here to talk about Manji. This is a Yumi Pictures DVD, which again you can pick up a number of these releases on eBay. Again, some of their DVDs have now got Blu-rays, but as far as I'm aware, Manji doesn't. According to Hong Kong Flicks, this is stunning. Real.com says it's intense and erotic. DVD Savant says it's Hollywood films are still crude peep shows compared to this 1964 dazzler. G-Line, whoever they are, Manji is nothing if not astonishing. It's a wild, lurid, outlandish slice of melodrama. It's Tennessee Williams by way of Douglas Sirk. And boxoffice.com says it plays like a Japanese blend of Hitchcock, Jean-Pierre Melville and David Lynch. But watching it, I wouldn't say it's doesn't resemble anything like Hitchcock, Jean-Pierre Melville or David Lynch. So who are you going to believe? So directed by Masamura, but written by Kineto Shindo, who's obviously famous for Onibaba and Kuroneko. So you can possibly glean some information about what the film's going to sort of be like, because it's written by Shindo. It's basically a four-hander. Or really an eight-hander, because everybody's got two hands generally. But it's really about two women in their love affair and how that affects the two men in their lives. It stars Kyoko Kishida, who was in Women of the Dunes, and she is kind of bored by her marriage to her husband, so she takes up art classes and she becomes infatuated with one of the models, played by Ayako Wakao from Red Angel. And if you've seen I think she's in another couple of Masamura films as well. And if you know what Ikao Wakao looks like, you'd probably be infatuated with her as well. And they start an affair and have an affair together, which starts with Sonoko, who's Kishida's character, just being obsessed with Mitsuko and just how beautiful her body is. She wants to see her naked, which I suppose is understandable. But it's more an obsession about the beauty, which then translates into her paintings of her. But then it obviously becomes a little bit more than just appreciating her beautiful body. The husband of Sonoko, who is very unemotional and kind of disconnected from her, obviously has issues with this, but again, he's thinking of it more of what if people find out. He's a lawyer, it'll ruin his career. But you also have Mitsuko's theoretical fiance, but their relationship is a bit complicated as well. And as this love square, if you like, rather than a triangle, it does kind of shift during the film. I don't think it's meant as a comedy, but there is something very blackly comic about the film, and I think it is from a kind of satirical point of view of relationships and obsessions. The fact that they get into this ridiculous kind of situation where contracts are involved, and Mitsuko only agrees to marry her fiance if she can still have access to Sonoko, and everybody's quick to go, well, if this doesn't happen, I'll kill myself. And there's contracts involved. Everybody's writing contracts with each other, which involve blood sucking, obviously, because when you're doing a contract, you obviously do it with blood and then suck each other's arms. So that kind of stuff is actually quite funny. The fact that in various situations they'll just say, oh well, we need to write up a contract in this so that if you don't agree to it, we'll all pretty much kill ourselves. And that goes from pairs of people to trios of people, and it just becomes quite farcical, but not in an obvious farce type way, just in a kind of more under the surface. It's a bit blackly comic as the kind of levels people go to prove their love to each other. Obviously throughout history there's been romantic suicide pacts and stuff like that. It will be interesting to actually see if YouTube deletes this video just because I've mentioned the S word, but considering my channel's so small, I'm not sure that will happen. But anyway, it's in colour. Yes, it's DVD, and this is another film that really needs a Blu-ray because it is shot beautifully. The two women are brilliant in the performances. Obviously Mitsuko is the younger woman and seen as this kind of goddess figure, and she kind of manipulates not necessarily all the other three, but certainly generally two out of the three, because again she is, now whether that is to say more beautiful people, younger people are kind of not to be trusted, are potentially evil because they're like so beautiful, and don't get involved with somebody that's absolutely beautiful. You can read into that all you like. It's just a wonderful film. I would say at 90 minutes, the ending's quite abrupt. The film is kind of in flashback, as a character, I won't say which one, but as a character is talking to somebody kind of after the events of the love square. But the ending's really abrupt, and you kind of feel that maybe there's like 5 or 10 minutes somewhere else. But again, it does, the 90 minutes fly by, even though I wouldn't say you love any of the characters, because they're not that likeable. There's not anybody that you particularly root for, but because the setup and the situation is so kind of fascinating, that doesn't matter. Again, I've talked in the past about you need to have people that you're at least interested in. They don't have to be likeable, but you at least have to be interested in them. So the 4 characters in here aren't particularly likeable or rootable for, but their characters and the situation's so interesting and fascinating that you want to see what happens. So that's certainly not a problem. It's just a wonderful film. It might not be for everybody. It is an 18 because it contains theme of sexual obsession, and again there is lots of references to the other S word that YouTube doesn't like that much, but it's a lot of fun. As I said, I found it kind of darkly funny as well, especially when everybody starts whipping out contracts that have to be sealed by sucking each other's blood. Well worth a wiggle. Another Masamura film that hopefully will get a Blu-ray release, because it's well worth seeing. And if you're familiar with Masamura, and if you're familiar with Shindo's films, you might have an idea of what to expect, even though I think one of the reasons Masamura is kind of underappreciated, underrated, is because he did so many different kind of films. And as we know, when filmmakers do that, they're sometimes not regarded as highly as people who kind of go over similar ground all the time. So thanks very much for watching this random review of another Japanese film from 1964. Please let me know if you've seen Manji and what you think of it, or any other Masamura films that I haven't mentioned, and hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.